Hey, my lovely people. Today I'm going to share a process that I use anytime I am struggling with negative thoughts or some negative energy that seems to be, just keeping me down. So I can tend to overthink things like a lot, which can cause anxiety. And so this became a way for me to get out all of those thoughts that seem to just spiral and circle inside of my head, and it gave them a place to rest. It gave a place for me to really see what was going on, and it allows a way to start seeing the beliefs that are truly the culprit behind how I'm feeling, which means that I can then start resolving the real issue, or at least saying, okay, here's the concern, and here's how you're going to start working on that concern, and I can start making a plan to move forward from there. Now, you might hear me call this art meditation as I'm going along, because that's what I've started calling it for myself over the years. And while it's not meditation in the traditional sense, the reason I started calling it this is because the word meditate means to think deeply or focus one's mind for a period of time in silence or with the aid of chanting, and it could be for religious or spiritual purposes or as a method of relaxation. And that's what we're going to be doing, thinking deeply and focusing our minds to help us relax and find peace. And then you can end this process with prayer if you would like. It's something I often do, but really it's just up to you with what you feel comfortable doing. Now, as you can see, I was setting up a new space in my own house for doing my art meditation, and I get everything set up and I get the paint out and I get my tunes on, and then I start with breathing and just rolling my shoulders and kind of releasing some of the tension that I hold in my neck and shoulder area before I pick up my pencil and I start journaling my thoughts. And you'll see I write diagonal across the page. A lot of times I will spiral, I will write in different directions as opposed to just, linear when I'm in a regular journal. And so I think that's another thing that I like about this, is because my thoughts aren't linear, especially whenever my head feels like it's swirling. And so it gives a way to just write it and however it wants to come out. And there's no trying to make it feel like a coherent sentence or to make sense. And again, I don't censor it. Whatever is in my head, I let it come out, because I think a lot of times, we're like, oh, that's not nice, I shouldn't say that. And yet it's in our head. We are thinking it. And so, while we shouldn't maybe say it out loud to somebody else, it is good to say, okay, why is this here? Why am I thinking that, and what kind of belief is stemming that thought, and why is that there? And so it became a really good way for me to just kind of analyze those thoughts. And again, as somebody who overthinks a lot, in a way it was better to just give in and say, okay, here's your space to overthink things. Here's your space to say, this is everything that I think about this thought or this topic or whatever it is, and just let it come out. Because I found that the more that I let it out in this way, the more it will stay out, and the less that I will continue overthinking it after I complete this process. Now, I also didn't write as much as I normally write, simply because I was recording myself, and as much as I want to help you guys, I don't want to let you into all of the thoughts in my head. So just know that my page is typically like edge to edge whenever I'm really like dealing with it's almost like an obsessive thought, it's just something that's going over and over. And so that's why this is really helpful for me. But again, I just wanted to mention that because I was recording, I did not write everything out. And then as far as the painting, when I got started with that, I just pick colors that speak to me. I have different tools on hands that, some old paintbrushes for texture, some small ones, foam brushes. I have this little weird thing that I like for splattering. It's like a bunch of little different pieces that are kind of flimsy that just work really well for splattering paint. I have things for etching, and I just play. And that's the main thing with it, is that because what's interesting with the music going and you're thinking about everything you've written down, you start to get into a flow state that allows you to kind of tap in to what you're really feeling. The other thing that I catch myself doing is kind of dancing, and my arms, it's a lot more with my arms and my upper body kind of swaying and going back and forth. And, it seems silly now to like show and to have it going, but the mood struck, and it felt like a way to express myself. And so I stopped painting for a moment, and I just allowed myself to move with the music. And then when I was ready, I came back to the canvas. One of the things that I really liked in today's session was that I was etching and scratching away the surface and the beauty of all the texture and the grit. And it just reminded me that I'm like, that's what makes our stories so incredible. The fact that we have been through things, we might have scars, we might be torn up a little bit, there's some grit there, but that is what creates that beauty. And I'm like, that is what makes things the most interesting, is when there are those layers, when there is that texture, when there are those little tears and the scars. And it just reminded me, that is so much beauty, that it's like we add and we add and we try to make decisions and we try to move forward. And then sometimes we take things back away and we're like, oh, that's what I was doing. That was so beautiful. That's what was there all along. And that, from past experiences and past things that I have done. And so I just wanted to speak to that because it was something that really, really struck me during this session. Now, I have quite a bit of painting that the process that I will go ahead and show you. If you're going to do this, I'd say allow about an hour. It doesn't have to be that long. It could be longer. Really, it is when you feel that you've connected to how you were feeling, and then that you have moved forward and connecting with how you want to be feeling. And so this gets into that, how our thoughts are creating the way we feel, which then drives how we're going to act, the behaviors we're going to take and the results we're going to get. And so sometimes if you're not familiar with this, it can be kind of challenging to be like, okay, like I hear this, I've heard it, it makes sense to me. So again, this is just one of those ways that was helpful for me to connect to what I was feeling. And then the other part of that is shifting and thinking, how do I want to feel? I understand this is how I'm feeling now. Now, how do I want to change this? And how do I want to be feeling? And what thoughts, what beliefs do I need to hold in order to start moving in that direction? And so that can be challenging because sometimes, you might be able to identify, okay, here's that belief that really is causing me a lot of negativity. But figuring out how do I move forward and how do I keep my thoughts, positive in the meantime while I'm making the shift, can feel, like I said, it can be challenging, but it's little by little. And it is thinking of, affirmations or, just thoughts, reframing thoughts. And I've said this in other videos that sometimes it's as simple as just adding yet onto the end of it, because we can't change. Some things, take time. Like we can't change it overnight. And, sometimes that belief is a truth. Sometimes it's a lie. And so it's a little easier to change that and to switch those thoughts and to reframe it. But sometimes it's a truth. And it's like, okay, this is going to take some hard work to change. Like it's going to take some time and some effort. And so really those are the points that it's like, here, how do I, keep from freaking out and having anxiety about it? But also start framing it in a way that really supports me and to help me move forward. And so anyways, that's all I got on that. But from here on out, I'm just gonna let the rest of the painting go. I try to clip it so it's not every little tiny bit, but still lets you see the progress and the progression of the painting as it goes. So I hope that you have found this helpful. I hope that you'll dive in and try it. If you do, please message me. You can find me on Instagram. I'll share that in the link below. And you can direct message me or send me a photo, anything. I love to see what people are creating, and I like to know if this is helpful, if it's something that you want me to keep creating videos about, because years ago is whenever I started doing it, and I felt very strong that it was something that I needed to share, that there were other people that would connect and that this could help make a difference. Because again, just because you have the information of hearing that your thoughts or your beliefs are going to drive your actions and your behaviors, it can be, as I've said, challenging to be like, okay, like I get that. Now, how do I really change those beliefs that I've held for years and years? And so, with practice, that's how. With practice, and you keep reframing, and you keep being aware and being a spectator of your thoughts. And again, for me, it was this practice. I did this a lot in the very beginning because I just had a really hard time connecting my thoughts to how it made me feel. And this helped. So anyways, that is it. I'm very wordy. And so with no further ado, enjoy the rest of the video. And until next time, my friends, peace and love.